guys, it's Tasha and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. Since it is the off season for Formula One, I have decided that I'm going to do an unpopular opinions video. I've been contemplating this for months. I did mention it a while ago that I did want to do this, but you know, people can be sensitive. You can't say your opinion no more without getting dragged, but I don't care. I'm going to do it. So on TikTok, I asked you guys to tell me unpopular F1 opinions. Some of them were repetitive, which I can understand. Some of them were interesting. I just can't wait to go through all of them. I haven't properly read them because I wanted to save them for this video, even though I did this video like months ago on TikTok. If you know me, I love a bit of spice. I love a bit of drama. So yeah, let's get into it. I just want to say that before I start, there's no judging. I'm not going to judge you. Unless your opinion is backwards, get out my face. When I say backwards, I mean with certain intents behind them, like bad intents, if you get my gist. I posted this back in September, I think, and it's currently the end of November. Like I said, some of these are repetitive. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. You know what? I'm going to start with mine first and then I'm going to read these. You know what? Before I start, let me say who my favourite drivers are. Before people are like, oh, that's why she's saying that, or she's only saying it because of this. If you don't know, my favourite, and I mean favourite driver is Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, he is my life. He is my everything. I don't think you guys will understand how much I love this man and appreciate this man. He's a good driver. He's done so well for the sport. Diversity wise, he has helped so much in all aspects and I'm so grateful for it because ain't nobody else doing it. But that's a story for another day. I also like Lando. I like Charles as well. I used to be such a huge Max Verstappen fan back in the days. Obviously now I'm more of a Lewis fan, but the love is still there for Max, don't get me wrong, but obviously I'm going to prefer Lewis in certain situations. I like Alec. I love Valtteri. He's funny. Oscar as well. He's just repping us Gen Zs on the grid. He's so funny. I think that's it, to be honest. Everyone else, like, I'm okay with. I don't really care. My main person is Lewis Hamilton. With my unpopular opinions, I mean, the first one's not really controversial because everyone always talks about this anyways, but Abu Dhabi 2021. Now, before you come for me, please, before anyone comes for me to be like, there she goes, or why are you still talking about it? Trust me, I'm over it. But it's just funny. I mean, at the time it wasn't funny. I cried. I was so pissed. I was in so much disbelief. I don't think it was that deep to cry, but there were so many emotions going through my head at that moment. Point blank, that was robbery. I don't care what anyone says. That doesn't mean that Max didn't deserve the championship. Don't get me wrong. It was very tight. It was very entertaining. Whoever would have won it would have deserved it. I think the way it went down, no, I did not like that in the slightest. I understand both sides, but it still doesn't make any sense. That's one thing I'll never forget, ever. I don't think I could ever forgive Michael Massey for such a crime. He's in my bad books for the rest of my life. The next opinion is that they need to get rid of the cost cap. I honestly think it's so stupid. Imagine you have worked so hard and you have accumulated all of this money, helped develop your team to be the best team, to now be told you cannot exceed X amount of money for the entire team, whether that's for the cars, drivers, salaries, food. That whole food thing is actually quite funny. If you know, you know. But I think it's ridiculous. I cannot remember what team principal it was, but someone said that if someone crashes into you, then they'll have to pay, because obviously the smaller teams, they can't afford as well as the big teams to just quickly repair the car because they don't have the money. In that sense, it does make sense because they should pay, especially if it's not the driver's fault, it's the other driver's fault from a different team. Then that I can understand. At the same time, it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing more you can do. I just really want them to get rid of the cost cap. It's so restrictive and it's so annoying. You get punished for exceeding it, but there are some things you cannot help. So obviously you're gonna have to go over. It's either they increase the cost cap more, maybe by like an extra like 5 to 10 million. Because when some of these cars crash, the entire car is shattered. These cars cost so much money, and obviously with the cost cap, it's just very restrictive. So a petition to either increase the cost cap or get rid of it because it's just pointless. I actually spoke about this with someone. I think that F1 should have F2 race weekends because there are so many points up for grabs. So anyone can get points. Me personally, I think the F2 race weekend is better than the F1 weekend, but that's going to be another point. If you don't know the F2 format for the weekend, I'll explain. So Thursday they have their media days. Friday they have practice and they have qualifying. I think both sessions are under an hour. Then Saturday is the sprint race, but they do a reverse grid for the top 10. And then Sunday they have the feature race. That's basically a normal F1 race day, right? That grid is basically Friday's qualifying. I think if you get a pole, you get a point. They still have the fastest lap. For the sprint race, it's the top 8 that get points, and then on the feature race it's just a normal F1 point system. So I think if F1 had that, anyone could get points. I just think it's so much better that way, and there's so many more people in the mix, and the championship is much closer. I understand that all the cars are the same, but still the championship is just very much closer together. Like every weekend you have people going up and down, there's so much more action. So I feel like if F1 implemented that for their race weekend, it would be so much better. Now, speaking of F2, I strongly believe that F2 is way better than F1. There's so much going on every weekend. Expect the unexpected. I get so excited now to watch F2 more than I get F1. Because with F1, you know who's winning. It's Max. If it's not Max, it's Checo. Before Max, it was Lewis. And then you had the odd surprise winner somewhere. But this season, there's been no surprise winner. But in F2, it could be anyone. It could be Teo Porcher. It could be Ollie Behrman. It could be Juan Manuel Carrera. I'm manifesting him to win a race. I don't care if it's a sprint race or if it's a feature race. He needs to win ASAP. I'll make it happen. I don't care. The fight for the lead is so much more. You could have 6 to 8 people fighting for one position. You could have the top 5 actually fighting for first place. When was the last time we actually had that in racing? Max dominating right now. No one's really challenging him, you know what I mean? When Lewis was dominating, who was really there? Obviously, you had the 2021 season with Matt. That was good. That was good. And then before that, Valtteri, he was there, but wasn't really there. So it was very easy for Lewis to get championships. And obviously, you had Nico Rosberg. Whenever I mention those two, my Mercedes heart just breaks. I'm always going to be a Mercedes fan, no matter what. I can't speak much, but before that, I don't really know. Because I only started watching in 2014, 15, mainly 2016. That's when I properly started watching it, so I can talk from then till now. But before that, don't ask me. All I'm trying to say is that it's kind of expected to know who is going to win, but in F2 you don't know, because it could be anyone. I don't know how many different winners we've had this season, but it's quite a few, and there's variety, and that's what I want. Me and my friend were speaking about this, and he said, when was the last time we saw the graphics of fighting for first place and you had like 3 or more cars in F1 fighting for first place? It's been a long time. The only time we've had quite a few cars doing that was in Singapore, but that was only because Red Bull had a poor weekend, which was very surprising. Like, I don't know where their pace went or what really happened for them to be that bad. Them getting points was a miracle. That was a good race weekend though. But other than that, I can't remember the last time we actually had people fighting for first place. Okay, those are some of my controversial opinions. Now I'm gonna move on to you guys' controversial opinion, which I'm very excited for. I don't know if I said this already, but I did ask you guys on TikTok for your unpopular opinions. To be honest, I didn't really check the comments because I wanted to save it for this video, even though I filmed this in September and it's basically the end of November. I have a gist of what some people were saying, but I'm excited to see what the rest have to say. To be fair, I do have quite a few and I'm excited to go through some of them. I don't think I can do all of them because, to be fair though, some of them are repetitive. Before I start, don't drag me, don't drag these people. These are just people's opinion, which they can have. None of them are hurtful opinions. If someone says something about a driver that you like and you don't like their opinion, that's a personal problem. How you can't say your opinions about drivers, team principles at all without getting dragged or being a hater. The way some people defend drivers' rights and wrong, very wrongs too, is crazy. Get off their laps. They do not care, trust me. But it's funny. Anyway, so the first one is saying that Yuki should leave AlphaTauri. Facts. Facts. I'm a fan of Liam Lawson since his F2 days. I strongly believe that Liam deserves that seat more than Yuki. Don't get me wrong, like Yuki, he's a calm guy, he's a good driver, but most of his teammates have beaten him throughout his whole career. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because that car is just not the best. I feel like now it's even worse because you have Daniel Ricciardo right there. And you know, Daniel Ricciardo is gunning for that Red Bull seat from Checo. There's gonna be a bit of pressure on Yuki because I'm sure Yuki would also want that seat too. I don't think he's the best for that team. He's been there for so long. They need to give it to someone who deserves it. I'm saying he doesn't deserve it, but I feel like an F2 driver or Liam Lawson could get that seat. Because even when Liam Lawson was in that seat, he was doing well. Bearing in mind, he was just chucked in there to replace Daniel because he broke his wrist. Oh, and a certain person, if you see this, I'm so sorry. It's not me. Someone else did it, not me in it. So yeah, I know they're gonna be upset. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This one actually got a lot of likes and I can see why, but someone said that whoever sets the fastest lap should get a point, because whoever sets the fastest lap gets that point if you're in the top 10. If you're 11th to 20, if you don't get it, which is so pointless. You set the fastest lap, be rewarded for it. Think about the lower teams. If they get that 1 point, that will do so much for them in the constructors and for the drivers, and it adds more spice. Imagine all the bottom teams pitting at the last minute to get that final fastest lap point. I just don't think it's fair that only the top 10 get it. I feel like everyone should have it up for grabs. I had quite a few about Charles and Ferrari, which I agree with wholeheartedly. Quite a few people are saying that A, Charles will never become a world champion at Ferrari and he just needs to leave, and B, Ferrari are holding him back. I agree with these so much. You know what, no matter what team principal goes to that team, they're just not doing great. After that whole 2019 thing about them cheating, they've gone down the drain. Was it 2019 or 2018? One of those 2 years. Over year Seb and Charles were there, it was that year they got caught out. After that, 2022 was the only season where they were back at the top again, and we all thought they were going to win the championship. We were lied to. That was was never happening. No matter what team principle they have, they're not doing great. And Charles is not a terrible driver, but he's not winning a championship with that team. As long as that team is doing what they're doing, they're not winning it. Even Mercedes with the tractor of the car they have, yes, a tractor, that car is awful. Especially what happened in Interlagos. No, I can't. I'm still burning over that. If they're above them in the championship, they have no hope. They really don't. I feel like to an extent, Ferrari is holding Leclerc back, but at the same time, they favour him over Carlos, so make it make sense. And even when they do favour him, he's not still doing as great when they should just favour Carlos. Personal opinion. I feel like it's on both ends. I feel like it's both Charles and Ferrari that are holding each other back from getting that championship. And Charles is not leaving. I feel like for personal reasons and for logical reasons, there's nowhere else for him to go. If Mercedes pick up their socks, then maybe. I don't think they're going to let go of George or Lewis. Lewis will have to leave for him to go there. But I would love Lewis and Charles to be teammates. That would just be chef's kiss. I think they'll be a power couple, like as teammates. Edits of them too, I know they'll bang. But I know Ferrari want Hamilton. The whole thing about Carlos going to Audi and then they bring in Hamilton, then maybe. But I don't think Hamilton will leave, because if they're below them in the championship, what's the point? It's a waste of everyone's time, especially Hamilton's time. I feel like Ferrari are holding themselves and their drivers, especially Charles, back. Actually no, especially Carlos. I genuinely feel like Carlos is not rated in that team. Not at all. It's quite sad. This one I feel like will get me dragged or cancelled or both. I'm here for it. Okay, this person said that Daniel is a mid driver and has been for a while. McLaren letting him go was the best move for them and completely valid. Facts. You know what, if you guys know me, you guys know that I was a diehard, I mean I still am, but not diehard, but I was a Daniel fan. He's funny, he's sweet, he's good, he's a good driver. While he was at McLaren, he just lost himself and he wasn't doing as great as he should be. And I feel like as Daniel fans, you have to hold yourself up. I feel like people put him so much on a pedestal that they're so blind to see what is actually going on. I was kind of one of them, but I'm not gonna lie and be like, he was doing great, it's all McLaren's fault. It's both. It's both, but you know, it comes down to the drive at the end of the day. I really don't know what happened to him when he was at McLaren. It's like he lost himself completely. Like he didn't know how to drive. I mean, obviously he got them their first win in 10 years. I will never let that slide. Even Zach has that tattoo. He has to live with that for the rest of his life. McLaren dropping him was valid. If he's not performing, what do you want them to do? Keep him out of pity? Keep him because he's a funny guy? I mean, to be fair, Daniel was very marketable. If they wanted to keep him because of that, fair enough. And they bought Oscar. And look at him, he's flourishing. He even won his first sprint race in a rookie season. I rate Oscar so much. He's just that guy. I feel like Daniel lost his mojo at McLaren and he just wasn't doing as great. And then him going to AlphaTauri doesn't make sense because a junior driver could get that seat. But I know they only brought him back because they wanted to replace Nick de Vries, which was very peak. I remember when I was in Dubai, right, I was just eating my dinner. Got the notification that Daniel's coming back and I was like, my God, that's so bad. Like, I'm happy. But how can you drop someone before the halfway point of the season? That's what I was trying to understand. It's just a very savage thing to do. I feel like if you give him the car, he will perform, because when he was at Red Bull, he wasn't bad. He's an 8-time race winner, like he's not bad. If you were to put him in Checo's seat, he's gonna do fine. He's going to do a lot better. I feel like him and Max could be closer again. Also, my Maxwell heart will be screaming, so I need it right now. I love those two together so much. I like my everything. Outside of the fandom of those two, I feel like that pairing will just be good. Give him a car and he will perform. I still have hope in this guy, but a championship for him is kind of off the table. As long as Max is there, there's no way. There's no way. There are two which kind of go hand in hand again, but this one I could go on for like the longest time. But it's talking about the fans of the drivers or the sport in general. The first one says that fans that always go way too far, they're out here going to war with each other, fighting over, etc. While the driver's already made up, it's not that serious, which is very true. And the second one is that there are way too many fans only caring about the drivers rather than the sport. I've seen quite a few people talk about this, but I'm going to talk about the first point. It's very true, like people need to calm down. For example, if we look at Abu Dhabi 2021, the fans are still annoyed. The fans are still giving grief to the other fandoms. It doesn't make any sense. I make jokes about how sad it made me, but I don't care anymore. Like, it happened 2 years ago. I'm so over it. There's nothing more we can do. It's in the past. That's what I keep telling people. I'm not going to actively go out of my way to hate on Max. I'm not actively going to go out of my way to now hate on Max's fans or hate on Red Bull fans. They had nothing to do with it. It wasn't between them. It's between the FIA. We as fans have no power over it. What we can do is just ignite more hate. It frustrates me so much that people go out of their way to be sending hate. For what? Please, what is the reason? I don't really associate myself within fan bases because they're very strange, especially especially certain fan bases, if you get what I mean. I feel like within the Mercedes fan base, there are some people that are still so salty. It's been 2 years, get over it, please. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing the rest of us. Yes, it hurts, but leave it. Just leave it in the past. And I feel like on the other side, within the Red Bull space, there are people that will still give other fans grief. And you know, we've heard things that have come out and have been proven true. I'm like, is it ever that serious? Now I'm scared to go to races because I don't want that happening to me. Imagine me going there. I'm not surviving. And even that whole thing when all of those bad things were happening and those fans were trying to justify it, saying it's not that deep, shouldn't be banned, that people deserved it. I'm like, are you sick? Straight up saying that they're lies, but there are people scared and scarred that this has happened to them. I really don't think it's that deep that people got into racing because they find drivers attractive. It's normal. It happens in any sport and it's okay because it brings more fans anyways. Me personally, I love fangirling over these drivers with other people. I fangirl about drivers all the time with all of my friends and they will fanboy and fangirl with me too. It's funny, it's fun, it's good vibes. So why are you hating? At this point, I'm convinced you guys are hella jealous because they find them attractive and not you. Is that why you're mad? That's my only reason. I feel like that's all I can say for that because I could go on and on and on, but you get my gist. I feel like I've covered everything, but I'm going to pick one more. The last one I'm going to talk about is about Sergio Perez. Things are getting spicy with him right now because his seat is very much under threat. They said that Perez is washed. Point blank. I don't think that Perez is a bad driver. I just feel like his time at Red Bull has come to an end and it's very obvious. He can't even defensively defend his own seat against the rumours that he's being replaced. He literally laughed and said that he's still signed until 2024. You know how these people are, they'll just snatch your contract like it's nothing. What did it for me is I didn't even look confident when he was trying to tell everyone that I'm still signed for 2024. I think he knows damn well that his seat is under threat. I just feel like over the last couple of years of him being there, he just knows that he's the number 2. That's all he ever will be to them. Because realistically, he's only there so that Max can win. He's just a buffer to like stop everyone else from trying to mess up Max's chances. But there's no need for that. Max is in his own league. But at the same time, when you look at the performance of Max and Checo, it's, you know, like this. I feel like his driver's gone. I feel like he doesn't care. I feel like he's scared because he knows he's next. I feel like his time is up and he needs to leave. It's either he leaves on his own or he gets fired. Okay, you guys, there's still quite a few more, but I'm gonna bring this to an end. I really enjoyed talking about this. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. To all of my friends or anyone who watches this who is not an F1 fan, this is your sign. This is your sign to go watch it because it's so interesting. And I hope for all of my F1 fans that you survive the winter break thoroughly. I hope you are okay. I hope you find some sort of entertainment. I'll try and post some more F1 content so that we are entertained and that we are fulfilled because I'm going to be hella bored. We'll see each other again in March for the season or the February winter test, but you guys will definitely see me next week. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here and I will see you guys next week. Bye.